Mr. Smith is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and certainly I can appreciate this discussion about the complexity of the tax code and adding new preferences in the tax code. The last I checked, there's been more than one bill introduced or suggestions for our tax code that would add more complexity, which certainly does concern me. But in a broad sense, I mean, we talk about confusion and frustration and instability of the tax code. But for the CPAs here on the panel, how often do you encounter someone that, aside from the instability and the short-term nature of a lot of these tax policies, how often do you encounter a client who would say, gosh, you know, going back, I wish I could go back and redo some planning perhaps, but how many of them think retroactively and then would apply that moving forward?
I'm not a CPA, but I can tell you that in my practice, my clients both look back and look forward. The problem with looking forward is you can't assure the client of any stability looking forward. It's not just complexity, it's stability. And they don't understand what's going to happen next year, for example, extenders, non-extenders, tax rates, and everything else there. So they look back and they say, if I had done this at that time, I could have saved taxes, I could have done something different, I could have paid less taxes in the long run. It's a balancing act, and very often my clients, being entrepreneurs, are frankly upset with planning we did before because the law changed and they didn't know it was going to change and we didn't know it was going to change. So I think stability has to be part of focusing on complexity. You need to provide stability for the people in this country and the entities in this country.
Okay. Anyone else? Mr. Martin.
I would say that my client base doesn't look back. It's not profitable to look back. You can't change things that have already happened. If they ask me about some advice that I gave them before, it's always on the basis of what we knew at the time. It's a struggle enough to get my clients to look forward far enough to make huge business decisions that are going to affect them in the long run. They're operating today. Don't look back. It's fruitless to look back.
Mr. Smetana?
I would concur. We're forward-looking. You need to be in your business. I would say that over the last several years, we've tried to make behavior by the tax policies we've instituted, particularly around depreciable lives and fast expensing. And I think what we run the risk of is similar to how a shopper in a retail store, they keep looking for the sale, so they defer their purchases until that sale occurs. And I have a feeling that we continue down this path of just short-term policy fixes and short-term incentives to try to change behavior. What we're really deferring are the kind of long-term investments that are necessary for business to thrive and survive and grow.
Okay. Mr. Nichols.
And I would certainly concur in everything that was said on this subject before. I would add one other thing, and that is clients, good clients that are running successful business do not want to do tax planning. They're very comfortable with, they'd be delighted to have a stable system. And frankly, they want to work on that next sale. They want to get sales to go up. They want to figure out that new technique that's going to reduce costs. That's what they want to focus on. And they resist the idea of, frankly, paying people like us and others because of the complexity or the uncertainty of where things are going to be. They want to do their business, and if we could just let them do that, we would all benefit.
Now, I guess in light of this topic, though, you know, we know that the tax code has so many tax preferences, hundreds, many of which are temporary in nature, and there are more proposed, as we've heard several times this season. And obviously, the beauty of a tax preference is always going to be in the eyes of the beholder, aside from the rate. But perhaps a rate can impact that a little bit. How high of a priority should reducing preferences in the tax code be as we tackle tax reform? Mr. Sullivan.
Thank you. Well, it should be an extremely high priority. It simplifies the tax code. It would allow much lower rates to make the system fairer and promote economic growth. As you say, the benefit is in the eyes of the beholder. It's the hard part is the politics. The economics are very simple.
Mr. Qual.
Yes, I mean, I would say, the most stable tax would be a low-rate, broad-based tax. So to the extent the preferences can be reduced and rates can be brought down, that's approaches the idea.
Perhaps we should resist further, adding further preferences in our tax code.
Definitely.